Okay, I am back. They gave me a restriction for too much exposure, so I'm going to basically make sure that nothing is overly too much, and then we're just going to go into the read, okay, you guys? So let's get started. Welcome back. We're reading Amazing Spider-Man. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, so they were restricting me, so I basically had to come back, and then I reframed it so that I shouldn't have an issue now going forward. So welcome to the comic book read. I'm Felicia Hardy, Black Cat. We're going to be reading Amazing Spider-Man number 7. Let's get right into it. So I already read you guys the intro, and I am in this comic, so let's do it. Because apparently I had too much nudity and body exposure. You know, someone was like, oh, your piercing's showing. I'm like, but it's not. But I guess if it looks like that, maybe they're like, that's too much. So, fair, fine. I adjusted my my framing, so we're okay, I hope. So, hey, Mooney Beats, Neptune, Kev's Collectible Spot. I hope you find the Jessica Cruz action figure. She will be back tomorrow. Was a really awesome read, actually. The Day the Stars Fell, a fun little collab between Green Arrow and Hal Jordan. So let's get into it, you guys. Oh, thanks, Gwen Stacy. Happy birthday again, by the way. Let me just adjust this. I know. I just need to make sure. Oh, thank you. Oh, goodness. It's been hard to get the light proper for me. Let me go like this. Yeah, that's a better angle. I can kind of see the calendar, but that's all right. Okay. Oh, no. I'm trying to just make sure there's not too much, like, boobies. You know? Okay. So, okay. I think that's good. But you don't know how you got here, but you're not complaining. Well, welcome. If you don't know how you got here, it must mean maybe you were meant to. So let's jump into it just like it's a dream and go from there, okay? Welcome, guys. Once you get it, let me know. I would love to get it as well. So, Manhattan, Upper West Side, 5:46 Eastern Standard Time. Spider sense check, says Black Cat. Nada, but my common sense is freaking out a little. Well, I don't know whether to laugh or laugh really hard. I was just musing that my life is outstanding at this exact moment. All pistons firing. 5 stars. And now, this guy. This guy is exactly who they mean. I gotta learn how to keep my internal monologue shut. Hey, so you got the right rooftop? Neither of us door crashed an Elder Scrolls NPC. He's built it. So you know what? It would make sense that Peter Parker would be into D&D and video gaming. Let's see here. Okay, good. I'm back, you guys, reading as Felicia Black Cat. Felicia Hardy, yay. I got a little bit of restriction because of like certain exposures, so I have adjusted my framing and we should be okay. So welcome to the read. I hope you're all well. I do have some gloves and I'll probably finish off it with the gloves, but I do want to get through reading of The Amazing Spider-Man number 7. Gwen Stacy, it's her birthday today. I was going to do a little bit of a Gwen Stacy cosplay, but Peter Parker, Spider-Man, all of his ladies I do love, but Felicia Hardy is definitely that wild card. And before we got started, I was just talking about how Felicia definitely is the type who probably gets Spider-Man the most in terms of like his professional sense. This cover is kind of fun too, by the way. Okay. So we have, what's his name again? Hellgate. And yes, Joe Kelly is the writer of this run. Oh yeah, Hellgate is the bad guy that we're talking about right now. So Hellgate arrives, and then Peter is now, as Spider-Man, roasting him for basically being like, hey, pregnancy and Spider-Man talk. That's so funny. I love that it's like mixing all the different things, the AI thing. All right, let's continue onward. Nicodemu, second of her line to be cursed with the far sight, bade me breach the soul wall and cross the away lands, so that I may parley with you, Prince of Steel Silk. I am the Hellgate. Oh my gosh, me too. X Sonic X. Fun fact, I actually picked up this comic book in Vancouver. So I actually was born and raised in Winnipeg, Manitoba. C38. Not exactly. Close. Close though. All right, let's continue onward. Hellgate appears in Manhattan, New York. Our meeting and great alliance is foretold. Cool, but no one foretells me anything. Mr. Hellgate, right? You're catching us unawares. And Black Cat saying like, Spider, don't tempt him, right? So, no, I'm 40, baby. Yeah, so good guess. Good guess. I mean, I'm dating myself if I really think about it, because I first found about Spider-Man and I read all the 90s stuff, or rather I watched all the animated stuff in the 90s. And that's where like my version comes from. The comics I came to later. So, welcome to this read. This is actually a reread. The reason why I'm doing this read actually is because it's a look at video games, because if we think about Peter Parker, he's a big nerd, if you think about it, who becomes a superhero, right? But it's cool, generations don't stop the fun. I love that. I love my younger generations, you know? I'm a big sister. You guys can see my tattoo. Yeah. So my little sister and all her friends, I was always like quintessential big sis who would like pick them up from the bar if they needed me, and like, you know, be their cover and all that kind of stuff. So it's all about also, I think, you know, being wise and giving intel or like advice in a way that's not like preachy, right? You know how sometimes, you know, people will come for like relationship advice, and I think Felicia Hardy's and Spider-Man's relationship is complicated, right? Like Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker, MJ and Peter Parker, Felicia Hardy and Peter Parker, they all have their own relationship with him. And there is a level of, could you say that he loves them all, I think, right? And it's this concept of like the different character types in the story as to like what goddess figure, if we want to take in archetypes, is who, you know, who you want to go with or who your favorite is, right? Felicia was always an anti-hero to me, but it was a good dynamic. Yeah, people like, I guess you would say she's an anti-hero. I would say in D&D, if we want to use that framework, she's like a rogue, right? I play a rogue in my own D&D campaign, a moon elf rogue, right? And so like some of my other players, my companions are like, well, you're a rogue. You should like, but my alignment is good. I'm like a rogue with a heart of gold, right? So just like how Catwoman in the DC universe is will help out when needed, you have like just like your own moral code when it comes to certain things, right? And I have read you guys a comic book as Felicia Hardy where she is how should I put it, she is like the Spider-Man of that universe kind of thing. So let's go. Our meeting and great alliance is foretold, says Hellgate to Spider-Man. Cool, but no one foretells anything or foretells me anything, Mr. Hellgate. So you're catching us unawares. And Felicia's like, okay, Spider, don't. We were just talking in, what is this? Look at how Spider calls it. We were just talking in D&D geese, like D&D language. So it's just like how you don't if you don't play a certain game, you won't understand it, right? Or if you don't watch a certain movie, you won't get it. If you've never seen Spider-Man, you won't understand who I am, right? So it's like, let me put on my gloves and continue onward and hope I can turn the pages, because I think it adds to the whole mystique look. But yes, someone once got mad at me for calling Felicia an anti-hero, but she kind of is. Like, she does a lot of things because she cares about Spider-Man, not necessarily because she cares about, like, the mission sometimes, right? Is Jonathan Storm? Okay, yeah, Stormy. And I mean, we're in that same universe, right? And I think we just talked about how Felicia also has the power to give enemies bad luck. And I never finished the story about Doctor Strange before continuing onward. It's known that Felicia actually, let me just make sure that I'm not going to cause any restrictions again with my outfit, you know. I was doing so well with you, TikTok, too, by the way. But then, you know, she cares. She does care. That's the thing, right? And it's one of those things where she'll do anything for Spider-Man. So in that sense, she's kind of led by her heart and impulses and like the thrill of being alive. And she also pushes on Spidey in the sense of like taking more risks and like having a bit more like the spice of life, I suppose, kind of thing. Although in this case, they're dealing with Hellgate. And Spidey's like, Felicia, we're talking D&D language right now. Just, I need Black Cat next to my figure collection. Yes, don't we all, right? So, cool. But no one foretells me anything, Mr. Hellgate. So you're catching us unawares. And Black Cat's like, I think she might have actually gotten some sort of foretelling prophecy, because she does deal with like the quantum realm and stuff, right? So Spidey says, we're just talking in D&D's. Don't worry about it. My partner and I are in the middle of a delicate side quest here in the realm of Manhattan. The knaves down there are from like the clan of the Hobgoblin, moving their magics and ornaments, and I'm sorry, I can't keep this up. So, you know, it's just like when you play D&D, like, you can role play, or you can say like, well, my character does this, or my character does that, or you can just put the voice on as well, right? My dungeon master, for example, does really great goblin voices, so it's like he's trying to role play here with this like Hellgate guy being like, the knaves down there are from the clan of the Hobgoblin, moving their magics and ornaments, and he's like, I can't keep this up, yo. Clearly, you came a long way, and you obviously worked real hard on this introduction. So I do want to hear it, because, you know, like when your D&D character appears, right, in role-playing games, typically you have a big, long description. Like back in the day when I used to play on, like, message boards, like I'm dating myself in the internet, right? So the old internet, you know, where you'd be like, okay, this is my whole character description. Or when you start a campaign, you're like, all right, I'm an elf. I'm a moon elf, I'm a rogue, I'm this level, I have proficiency in this, I have thieves tools, so I can pack locks. So, do I have the Black Cat solo series? Not yet. I do have an issue on back order, but it's an older issue of Black Cat. So more of that to come, though, because she deserves a little look at her own story, right? Because it's quite interesting. Okay. Let's see here. Clearly you came a long way, and you obviously worked real hard on this introduction, so I want to hear it, but I need you to hang for like 20 minutes, okay? And then Felicia continues, Spider, they can wait. I think we should abort. We should focus on our visitor, right? 20 minutes, probably less, then we can parlay the whole campaign together, all right? Over there, just wait over there. There are snacks. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Like welcome to my D&D campaign. There's snacks. Don't worry about it. You let your handmaiden interrupt matters of import? We try not to put labels on things, but she is definitely not a handmaiden. We need to go right now. And so you should see Felicia just like grabbing Spidey and being like, okay, this is not good. We need to get the frick out of here. Of course I'll have her. Well, you know what though? It depends on if I'm on a mission. I might need to get a friend to babysit. Where are we? Okay, right now. So I like this panel right here with Spidey and Black Cat on the rooftop. And that Hellgate guy behind them. I'm sorry he called you a handmaiden, but I think he's legit just here to talk. Don't you feel that? Don't you feel that pouring off him? So remember what we said about how Black Cat, she has the ability to alter like the quantum realm so that... Quick question, remember Ultimate Black Cat, that version of she disappeared, she was never used again? You know, it's so interesting, Exonoax. I love that you are well versed in the Black Cat character. Just because I feel like she just gets written off as being like, you know, like saucy anti-hero who like betrays the heroes sometimes, but she does still have a soft spot for him in the end. Hey, Frankie Guyton Jr., welcome, welcome. I'm playing as Felicia Hardy, Black Cat, in case you guys aren't familiar. And Dandy Money Man, I saw you join. Hi, hi. It's just interesting, right? Like you can have like the base of a character and then the story that character is in is going to bring some nuance to that type, right? So an example is the campaign I'm playing right now in D&D is in Forgotten Realms, and I'm playing as a moon elf. So I'm using this same character in this campaign, which I had already played before, but I only entered late in the game. So it's interesting, right? Because it's like, the way I put it is like my character is like, oh, I had a past life where I did this, but this time because I'm with a different party, we're doing it's like just a different story, right? So it's like, you know, narratives that are character driven versus plot driven, and I'm personally one who loves character driven plot lines. So when you have let's call them characters that are anti-heroes, like it's always very, I think, rewarding when, you know, there's that point where are you going to do the right thing, and then redemption happens, right? So the one character who you think is like, you know, the thief or the trickster, you know, when it comes right down to it, they will make the right decision and sometimes the hard decision because they know what it's like to be on like the other side of the fence. And Voice of One, speaking of D&D and Dungeon Masters, welcome to the live. We're reading Spider-Man. Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse as well, though, if we think about it symbolically and like webs that we weave, and black cats and cats in general are considered animals that walk between worlds. There was a really fun, was it Love, Death, and Robots episode? I love that show, by the way. So Love, Death, and Robots, I don't know if it's that one or the animated one of that. Oh no. But anyways, there's this animated short where this cat basically protects his master from like Satan or the devil or something kind of thing. So where am I going with this? Oh yeah, so cats are oftentimes protectors of those realms because they can walk between worlds and can see what others can't see, which is kind of like what's happening in this case, right? In this comic book where this Hellgate guy, he kind of looks like a dark knight or a dark cleric or like, I don't know, maybe even a warlock knight guy from another world. It's okay, I don't think so either. Felicia, yes, that's not true, Pokey. You know that's not true. Let's continue onward. Okay. Where are we? Oh, yeah. So he basically is there to parlay with what he's calling didn't he call him the Knight of Still Silk or something? Oh, we are reading this. Yeah, we're reading Amazing Spider-Man number 7, which features Felicia Hardy in it, Black Cat. So, welcome. Let's continue onward. I've gone on and off on enough of a tangent. So Black Cat has this like extra sense. She's basically saying we should probably like forget about the mission and go towards dealing with this like Hellgate guy who wants to parlay. And Black Cat's like, I'm getting a bad feeling about this. And she's kind of surprised that Spider-Man's not having his spider sense like go off the chain, right? Wolfie's totally sleeping at my feet right now. Okay, where are we? So she's saying this to Spider-Man, like there's like some sort of energy that's pouring off this Hellgate guy. And then he says, no, why are you so freaked out, Felicia? Hey. And then there's a big explosion and kaboom. That's why I'm so freaked out, Spider, right? A tangent, a cat path, if you will. So I love that. Oh, what comic? This is Amazing Spider-Man #7. It deals with like D&D stuff, which would make sense if Peter Parker's a big nerd, that you know, that he would be able to understand D&D talk, right? And speaking of chance, right? If you've ever played D&D, right, you roll dice for things, or even if you play Baldur's Gate 3, you do have, like, when an encounter happens and whether or not you succeed or fail is based on if you roll above a certain amount, right? And so that's, like, where fate or chance comes into it, right? Yes, it is the new run from Joe Kelly, Reed Richards. Yeah, yes, I'm here for it. I have to get the one that follows this one, though. I've read this one before. You're currently on issue 18. Oh my gosh. I will be continuing this one off. I have to go comic book store. I have to visit my local comic book store. I actually bought this one from Golden Age Comics last summer when I was visiting Vancouver. Has Spidey Comics been getting better? Harvier Singh, I don't know if I can speak to that, because my first foray into Spider-Man was actually the animated show from the early 2000s that was on like YTV. So even like Felicia's character in that is kind of like sassy. She's a little bit of like, Peter Parker kind of has like a big crush on her just because she's like that unattainable like girl, right? But we already talked a little bit about how like Black Cat, the alter ego to Felicia Hardy, loves Spider-Man, but I don't necessarily think that Felicia Hardy and Peter Parker are like a match, kind of, right? They're spectacular. Very cool. Is there a reason why you guys like Spider-Man as like a hero? I like him the most. How should I put it? The reason why I like Peter Parker, Spider-Man, the most is that he's so he actually has superpowers, and his ability to be able to like use his intellect in order to use them in the right way, not the right way, but in a strategic way, is him. And he also, I do like in some of the Spider-Man comics how he does break the fourth wall sometimes. Like in the Spider-Verse comic I read, I had one Spider-Man say like, well, I hope someone's listening to this internal monologue, and just stuff he says, like, with great power comes great responsibility, and just like, if no one else, like only I am going to do it. Like if no one else has Spider-Man powers, so I have a responsibility to do something with that power, right? This idea of like taking the higher road, being a good person, and just this idea of like, it's a journey, right? It's not this like easy road kind of thing. Also too, funny that a lot of superheroes are also like reporters in their off time, like him being a photographer and like shooting Spider-Man too. It's just an interesting thing when it comes to storytelling. And and his supporting cast like Felicia Hardy. And I do think Spidey does get all the best ladies, I mean, in terms of his love interests and how important they are to his overall like character arc, right? Because a world is worth saving when you have people you love in it, right? Or rather, the world is worth saving for the people that you love, rather than like just for the sake of doing it, right? Or saving the world so that you can keep it for yourself, kind of thing. Spidey has had different jobs other than photography. Could you please list them? Please do let me know. Top 3 non-hero baddies. Oh my goodness. Does it have to be in the Marvel Universe? Cavs Collectible spot? I would say I really do love Star Sapphires in the Green Lantern universe. I know I'm jumping universes, because they're considered villains, but they're like supposed to represent love, right? So it's like this kind of idea of course he was a science teacher, have you ever seen? Yeah, I think that's what gets forgotten about, that a lot of the superheroes are incredibly intelligent, right? So, because it's not as easy as having your stats be like, oh, high in strength and then low in intelligence, right? This combination of different gifts are what make a hero, right? Including, the ability to, like, for example, in D&D, clerics and paladins sometimes can be very restrictive, right? Because there's this concept of, in D&D, evil, good, and neutral, but then also chaos, neutral, and order, right? And so you can still be chaotic and on the side of good, right? And it's just this, like, maybe you're working on a higher order of things where it seems chaotic at this level, but maybe isn't. And I think that's why sometimes Felicia Hardy, you want, you're looking for the thrill of life, right? So that's why you do engage in risky behaviors like stealing jewelry or fine art, because you want to, like, you like the puzzle of breaking through. Like, that's why I like puzzles, right? Like, or like a heist. Like, how would I break through a maximum security prison? Or like the first Mission Impossible, where he's like on that thing and he's like, dun dun. So it's, I think it's that aspect of certain heroes that we kind of like, that ability to be like, okay, I'm not going to follow the rules. I'm going to make my own rules, right? But it's still within a certain aspect. If this would take up half this chat. We'll do, you know a lot about Black Cat, X on X. I almost want to keep you on as like my, there's a few of you guys who, like, you're so well versed in certain things. And I feel like if we were to make like a comic book school where we can, like, because think about it, not everyone's going to read comic books. It's still like, even though we have all the live action movies and stuff, we have like the Spider-Man movies. I do love how Zendaya is Mary Jane, though. She's a great Mary Jane. It's, but have they done Felicia in the, like, the live, I don't know if Black Cat's been done in that kind of way. Why would I read when I got well, that's why I'm here, right? Because not everyone reads comic books, right? I love Zendaya. She's my favorite voice actor. I love Zendaya too. I do like her in Dune as well. She's a good Chani. I do not like how, I'm going to talk about something else. That's a later thing. She's never been in live action ever, Sally. Really? That's sad. You know what would be fun is if they actually included Black Cat in Doctor Strange's universe. Because I never told you guys the story about how, well, you guys should already know the story from Avengers, right? Oh, Ned Drinker, thank you. So in Avengers, right, Thanos is trying to wipe out half of existence and humanity. And I read you guys actually a Phoenix story where he tries to use the Phoenix's power to, impress his beloved Death. Anyways, in the movie, right, Doctor Strange looks into the future, all the different possibilities, all the different ways that things can go down, and he finds one where they win, right? And so once he finds that, he makes a move that in the present moment seems a little bit like, why are you doing that? But it's so that he can position it like chess, like your future moves are so that you win, right? So this idea of like the different parameters. And so when we think about good luck or bad luck, or aligning your will, that kind of thing, it's like magic in a weird sense, or when you're doing divination or chance, or like when you roll the dice, because it's a funny thing, right? Like when I play D&D, it's a fun joke with my, I'm hopefully going to stream it next week, but I roll really high for attacks. Like I roll like natural 20s quite often. And one of the other characters, he actually is a paladin, but he's like worships the goddess of misfortune, Bathsheba. And so whenever he rolls a natural 1, it is actually a natural 20. And that's a kind of way to look at like how Black Cat is able to wield bad luck. She's able to kind of like push that misfortune onto like people that, you know, the bad guys, right? Or who she deems the bad guys from her perspective. And so it's why, like, you know, when you're trying to assemble your team of people when it comes to these different missions, that's why Felicia can maybe do certain things that like standard order following heroes couldn't do, right? That kind of thing. Okay, that was enough like tangenting. Let's continue on with this read. Spider-Man number 7. Yeah, I've read it before with you guys before, but I wanted to reframe it in this cosplay, and then we'll continue onward with this run, hopefully a little bit later. I have a little cosplay of MJ I want to show you guys too. So let me just make sure I'm like not overly exposed. And then this way, good. So there's a big crash, and then they look over the roof, and Spider-Man says, "Oh my God, your enemies are felled. So we will parlay now." So Spider-Man was basically using the excuse of the mission that he was on with Black Cat to be like, we cannot parlay till after we have to do our thing. And so this Hellgate guy basically like, he decimates what they're dealing with. So he's like, oh, great. You can talk to me now, right? Right? So let me try this side. So what the hell is wrong with you? Call 911, Cat, because they weren't really trying to destroy anything, right? And then Cat says, everything is so dark. Everything is so dark. A quick prayer that it looks worse than what it is. It doesn't. Crossing to the away lands is forbidden. It must be obvious to you that. And Spider-Man says to him, they're dead. All of them. You don't kill people to get someone's attention, you psycho. He's like, you are the Prince of Steel Silk, are you? So I think some of you guys have read further on into this run. I hope we find out what does he mean, you're the Prince of Steel Silk? So this Hellgate guy basically destroyed everyone down there. So, oh look, Universal Orlando Resort, just in case you're interested in visiting. If you do next fits, yeah. Well, I mean, I have the next few days, I have kind of set. So tomorrow, Jessica Cruz is coming back. So we're jumping back to DC. Marvel won't be back until Monday. And I think I have Jean Grey back for that. Because I have a Psy Shield that I've been working on for her. And we're going to talk a little bit about the different, I guess, genetic timelines of... So, for example, you guys were talking about Deadpool, and I think in one of the movies, didn't they make Cable and Thanos the same guy, the same actor? So they made Cable, like, I think the bad guy to Deadpool, and Cable is the son of Scott Summers and Madeline Pryor, who is a clone of Jean Grey. So the cloning thing in Marvel, you'll find they like to use clones a lot for some reason. It is the same actor. So that's an interesting thing. I don't know what that means, but we're going to talk with Jean about these different universes, because Jean is one of those characters who deals with like the cosmic essence of the Phoenix. So this, eagle eye, bird eye, above game board view of things. So we can kind of look at Marvel from that perspective, as well as like Marvel Rivals. And there was an RPG Marvel game. And there was like the cards and all that kind of stuff too. So Cable wasn't full the villain who's trying to save the timeline due to yes. So that part too. Thanks for bringing that up, Pokey, because essentially Cable is supposed to be like protect the time stream. And in some versions, you also have a character named Mother Akani. Oh my gosh, I'm not saying her name right, but she's Rachel Summers, all grown up. And there's like a sisterhood of telepaths that work together to protect the sacred timeline. That is so so much connected to like the Dune, like Bene Gesserit, that it's crazy, right? This idea of like a sacred group of telepaths who are like, okay, we're trying to nurture a sacred timeline through careful intervention. And Cable is an agent for protecting the timelines, and Cable and Rachel are actually related because Rachel Summers is also Scott Summers' daughter and Rachel's daughter, Jean Grey's daughter. But she's an anomaly, and there's a talk about that. So anyways, it's funny that you bring up Loki too, because Loki is also in American Gods, like Loki and Odin. And anyways, I'm not going to go into it. Okay. So Spidey's like, you're a crazy person. You want to parlay, and you basically killed a whole bunch of people in order to do that. By the time my spider sense registers that I should move Hellgate's already made contact, a love tap that hits like a 1-ton ham fried... Wait. A 1-ton ham fired from a cannon. And you can see that he pushes him into a car. Ow. Okay. Hope you enjoyed that refreshing taste of sucker punch. And you're not getting another. So I guess Hellgate got punched when he basically punched Spidey and like sucker punched him into the car. And so he's like, okay, you're not going to get another one of those. Trust me. And then at 5:49 a.m., Port Authority bus terminal. So now I am literally setting foot on New York concrete. I've left you 70 messages and no one has called back. So you've got Hermes Crenshaw arrives in Manhattan. I do not know who Hermes Crenshaw is. Someone tell me who that is. Calling this the hotline is a gross overstatement. Sir, you have not taken a breath since we left Illinois. I'm trying to save the world, ma'am. I know. I heard you call the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and some poor schmuck named Fred. All night long. Fred is actually Captain Universe in this timeline. I think. Oh my God, he's really here. Get back on the bus. Everybody, get back. Get off of this island. Get bent, you weirdo. So he's like one of those people like, it's the end of the world, or like there's something's gonna happen on the train, etc. He's a minor character. So he's kind of like a plot device character, trying to push stuff along. Or like, you know, those people like, I think I know what's going on in the timeline. I want to be a superhero, but you don't have any powers. Okay, don't know how someone can throw off so much heat and chill me to the bone at the same time. But it's happening. So, oh, thanks, Carlo. Who the heck is Fed? But it's happening. Hit him with a kick that would get the rhino to tap out. Strike me like you mean it, says Hellgate. And thank you, Carlos, for the rose. Appreciate it. Strike me like you mean it. It makes him mad. Not because it hurts. I think it doesn't hurt enough. With pleasure. Well, lucky I'm not a quitter. Your restraint is an insult, Prince. Noted. And so he's trying to fight this Hellgate guy who's looking. I don't know if Felicia has left the scene at this point. She's kind of warned him at this point, being like, we should go. And then this Hellgate guy called me a handmaiden, which is kind of insulting. So he continues on. Your restraint is an insult, Prince. Noted. Well, this should send you into a real tizzy then, Mr. Sensitive. Banter rings hollow. My voice sounds tiny. Straight up, webs are a no-go. He's strong, durable, fast, pumping out heat like a human torch on a hot date. Johnny Storm, right? Pumping out heat like Johnny, right? The human torch on a hot date. And then Cat appears, because you always need backup in these situations. What are you doing? Don't fight him. Run. So she's like, why are you fighting him, Spider? Just get the F out of here. There's like bad juju coming off it, right? But you know, she's like, get out of here. He's crazy. Go, 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 go. Never seen, so this is like internal monologue from Spider. Hi, Craig Myers. Welcome to the read. I'm Felicia Hardy. So Peter is like, whoa, I've never seen Felicia like freak out so hard like this, right? So I've never seen Felicia freak out like this, but her words are lost behind the screams of my spider sense, which is also telling me to run like hell for what it's worth. So his spidey sense have finally kicked in, even though like in the beginning, Felicia's like, we should just get the F out of here. Should have listened to my hunch, right? And like my perception of it, you know, women's intuition. It is a thing. All right. Uncle Ben. So he's like, this looks like a memory or dream sequence. Uncle Ben, how do I know when to fight and when to run? Hey, Flapjack. Oh, Flapjack D. Lumberjack. I was just talking about pancakes the other day, too, and how awesome they were. Before I go, I'll show you my finished Lego. Or Pokey was saying, like, Rachel's starting projects that she can't finish. I did finish it, although it was very frustrating. So, speaking of puzzles and putting things together, it's all part of the same kind of thing. So, there's Felicia's like, we need to get out of here. We need to run. And so we have like a flashback sequence where Peter is talking to Uncle Ben, asking him like, Uncle Ben, when do I stay and fight? And when do I run? Right? And you know, this reminds me of my D&D campaign last week where we were in a tough spot with a bunch of like evil cultists and we had to get out of there. And I was like, I have a bad feeling about this. I don't want to go in there. I don't want to go in there, right? So we ended up in a situation where like one of them got possessed and we had to get out of there. But the strategy was like very roguelike. We run, but we fight as we run because it's not as easy. Like, you know, like when you're in D&D and you're like engaged, if you leave, you provoke an attack of opportunity, right? So it's not as easy as just like disengaging from it, which is why you had Black Cat like firing the weapons to like create an exit route, right? So even if you decide to run, it's actually not as easy. It's not always the most cowardly thing to know when you can come back and fight another day when you have a better strategy, perhaps, right? So, Uncle Ben, how do I know when to fight and when to run? Maybe we should work on both, Peter. Oh, I knew, right? Yes, Uncle Ben, indeed. But any minute, Manhattan is going to wake up. Remember, this is like early in the morning, before 6 a.m. This is all happening in like a matter of minutes, right? What is time, anyways? But any minute, Manhattan is going to wake up with commuters, joggers, and dog walkers. Smellgate. Oh my gosh, that's such a Spider-Man thing to say to insult your bad guy. It's like, Smellgate, because his name's Hellgate, up here. Need to keep this freak as isolated as possible. A little playground taunting should poke him right in the ego. If I'm wrong, I'm leaving Felicia exposed, but if I'm right, sometimes I hate being right? Because like, is one thing bad guys don't like. They don't like being mocked, right? And insulted. And we're like, hey, smell face, over here. Distraction, right? So now it's 5:57 a.m. Thinner every week. It's a damn shame. Kill you to use an Oxford comma. So we've got John Jonah Jameson. That like, doesn't that name remind you of that nursery rhyme where it's like, John Dimble Hammersmith, his name is my name too. Whenever we go out, the people always shout, there goes John Jonah Jameson, something, na-na-na-na-na-na, something like that. Anyways, so his morning routine unfolds as they do most days. 3 typos on the front page. No wonder the country's gone illiterate. Well, I mean, you need copy editing. I'm not great at copy editing. When I write and stuff, You always need an editor too, right? Because like that first steady stream of consciousness. That's why even when you have a comic book, you have the writer, but you have an letterer, like all these other people in there as you synthesize that initial idea that comes down the pipe, right? So yeah, 3 typos on the front page. No wonder the country has gone illiterate. Parker was right. I really am turning into a grouchy old SOB. Heh. He reads a dozen of the nation's remaining newspapers from cover to cover, confirming that the world is wobbling along as it always has. And then, get up, slacker. Been too long. Lunch this week? Who's texting? Peter Parker? Are you texting? You're okay, anyways, fine. Until the lights in the sky make him feel that the sun is rising on the wrong side of town. And he's like, he's looking out the window. What the hell is going on? Of course, Xavier. Oh, yes, Brandon. Hello, welcome. I'm Felicia Hardy, Black Cat. We're reading The Amazing Spider-Man #7. I got this comic book last August. I need to get the follow-up to it. This is a reread. I've read this to you guys before because it's Thursday, and Thursday night is usually my D&D night. So it's kind of like this way of talking about the cosmic game of life via this character. And yes, the writer is Joe Kelly. So if you guys are familiar. All right. So it is now 6:05 a.m. So all of the stuff that has just transpired has happened in like a matter of minutes. Don't know what's scarier, that he stopped speaking or I have. Felicia, does Peter still work at his same job at the news place? Yes or no? I would say yes, because he loves doing it too, right? There's a level too of, because you work for the news too, you know the beat of what's happening. So being up early, like I took broadcast journalism for a brief stint. And so this idea of like telling the story of what the day is and getting ahead of that, I think there's also like a strategic element to why superheroes are like in jobs in their alter ego that deal with like newscasting or reporters or photojournalism or things like that. Okay, so he's stopped speaking, or I have, but it's taking every ounce of concentration I can muster to stay ahead of Hellgate. Not easy, so guess he didn't just want to parlay. He's kind of a psycho. It's not going to be enough. I need time to think. I need breathing room. Wanted to try this for a while now, ejecting a full web cartridge at speed, set to pop on impact. Working name is Web Bomb Omb. Sounds like that, like, from Super Mario. Remember the Bomb Bomb from, like, Mario Party and stuff? Yeah, he's kind of overpowered, too. Yeah, he is a little OP. But you know what? When it comes to players like that, it's about knowing like the weakness of it. So I don't know what happens after this read, but if I were to hazard a prediction, a guess, it would be a way, like we'd have to go to D&D rules to figure out a way to take down this guy, like figure out what exactly this Hellgate guy is, if he's like magical in nature, like who is this god kind of thing, and like, you know, break it down. It's a me. Yeah, web bob, and so it's a big web bomb. So it looks kind of like something else too, but we'll leave it at that. Like a goober, right? Another name is 1 month's salary, because webbing is real expensive, so it better work. Oh yeah, so I guess like it's the case where he has to like fashion his webs. I love you, Web Bomb. Think, where am I in the city? What can I use as a weapon? Oh, crap. Sean, Black Hat was my first crush, respective. Oh, from what version, Sean? Any animated version? Because I think we've all learned that like she hasn't really been done live action. 1 month's salary. Yeah, because I guess like he doesn't make his webs naturally, Spider-Man, after a certain point, right? Where are you living at in New York, Felicia? Well, I'm living in downtown Manhattan, of course, in a really pricey condo on the top floor, the penthouse, of course. Fun story. I did actually, hey, Master Sith. I have actually visited New York City. I actually got to see Rent on Broadway, and I got to see Tarzan on Broadway. Tarzan on Broadway was probably the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. Like, they had performers on strings. Like, speaking of, Spider-Man is like the Prince of Steel Silk, butterflies, they came down like from the ceiling in the theater. So I would love to see like comic books, because they're literally storyboards, right? To have them be done a little bit more beat for beat for the story. Like, I can appreciate the movies and the Spider-Verse, the Zendaya and Tom Holland and all that, but there is a level of like maybe having it like one-to-one, which is why I think the animated versions sometimes are, they capture it a bit more in terms of like the imagination. Hey, Red Heron, how's it going, my creative friend? Welcome to the live. We are continuing on with Marvel's The Amazing Spider-Man #7. I'm Felicia Hardy, Black Cat. We're talking a little bit D&D kind of thing, or role-playing games, video games, and the fact that Peter Parker is a big nerd, and I think that's why all of us who are all like nerds at heart, we can relate to Spider-Man, right? Go to New York City. Real techie, I need to go back to New York City. I visited New York City in 2003 or so, before I moved to Toronto when I was in university, because my bestie, whose name was also Rachel, is also Rachel, she was a dancer at Alvin Ailey there. And so I went and I stayed in Harlem in a house with a whole bunch of other dancers, and I got to like experience New York City as like a dancer. Like, I was there for like just a few weeks, but it was fun to kind of like explore the city at night, like take the subway, see the rats that are huge. But it's all part of like big city life, right? That was a long time ago. Though not much has changed. But you change, right? So like, I visited when I was like maybe 22, right? Or so. So who I was at 22 is not the same as who I am now at 40, right? So I'd have a different view on things going there, right? So Jersey City has changed a lot. I mean, like, even Toronto, me being here for like the last, over 10 years now, I've seen the city change. Like, for example, like MTV is gone, you guys, right? Much Music is gone. The way that Queen Street looks here, like the Electric Circus that I grew up with, like, is gone. Like, it's so, things change because they have to, right? But I think it's up to all of us who like love what we love. It's our way of like keeping it immortal, right? By like sharing it with others. Oh my gosh. Oh, my hair. Hold on. There we go. Got it. Oh, thanks, Ichu. I matured emotionally on decisions. Well, you make decisions, right? Sometimes we can get stuck and paralyzed, I think, by certain things, right? Let's see here. It's crazy about the MTV. Yeah. I mean, MTV and Much Music, all of these, because I love music videos too. I love music videos as a storytelling medium. Be really fun. Well, actually, that's what I'm working on too as well. I'm actually working on a dance routine as Black Cat, and like my different characters. Like, there's certain songs which I think match their vibe, right? Like, there's a song called Bad at Love by Halsey, which I really like. There's a boy down in Michigan and he tastes like Jack. Well, anyways, I'm working on a dance to that as Black Cat, because it's this idea of like, you want to love, but sometimes you're bad at love, but that won't stop me from trying. MTV Cartoon Network. I don't know if it was... Oh, I didn't know the Cartoon Network was also canceled. Oh, yo. Well, I mean, things have to fall away and die so other things can come back and grow in its place, right? And MTV, I will say this as like a side tangent here before we continue on with this read, that the minute that Much Music or like music television started to play reality TV, like, remember the Real Worlds in MTV? Like, you started to get this concept of like reality TV. And it was before social media, right? So even then, it started to skew our perception as to like what is real, right? Yeah, greedy network. Wolfie's definitely sleeping. You might hear him dream. Sometimes he does these like little dreams when I read certain stories. But I changed in that and make decisions. Yeah. But you know, like that's like growth as a person, right? Your own character arc. And I think that's why, you know, in these days, although Felicia Hardy was maybe created in the 80s and was a bit more of like that anti-hero and like, you know, maybe betrays Peter, lies, and all this kind of stuff. There's always opportunity and room for these characters to have redemption, have an arc, growth, change, you know? Because to quote Janet Jackson, what have you done for me lately? Ooh, yeah, kind of thing, right? So like you're good as your last game, right? So who cares if you like won a game 10 years ago? Like, what about now? This time, this moment, right here, right now, right? Sometimes those of us who are very perceptive or like have a lot of ideas, you can live in your own mind space a lot, right? And then it can be tough to be present and like right here, right now, right? So, yes, Disney anti-hero. Yeah. Because there is this concept too of like being goody two shoes and like this idea of like people hiding more of like their shadow stuff as opposed to like characters like Felicia and like Catwoman or who else? Like Poison Ivy I really like too, right? Because she's not necessarily a hero, but she helps out if she really, really needs it kind of thing. So, you know. One person is more of the right night person, the other part. Yeah, exactly. Gwen Stacy, hey. Everyone also to wish Gwen Stacy a happy birthday. It's her birthday. So, and happy birthday all you Capricorns, right? Who are born in this time of the year. I have to look up when Felicia's birthday is because I like knowing that about the characters and like that kind of stuff too. Gives some nuance and context to the character. All right, so this Hellgate guy is actually turning out to be a little bit more problematic than wanting to parlay with the Prince of Steel Silk. He's basically ripping apart New York City to get to him. Not a failure, an experiment. It's only a failure if I don't learn. And I'm learning. Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah. Reality TV scripted survivor that totally blurred the line. Yes, real tech geek. Exactly. Because I think that's what people don't get, that reality TV is also scripted, but it's framed to be reality. You could say the same thing about broadcast journalism too, right? Where you have news anchors because they're anchoring in a certain perspective of reality, right? Because they're telling stories, right? And these stories are considered to be real. So that's, I think, it's just perspective, right? So in one case, too, is Spider-Man real? Yes, right? Even if he only exists in the imagination, right? Because it's something important to note that your perspective, your belief, what you think is real is, right? What I am presenting to you guys or whatever anyone presents, you have the option to let that into your worldview or into your own universe, right? So that's why I always thank you guys for like, you don't have to be here, right? You can do a bunch of other things too, but you're choosing to be here. And for those of you who even know the story, like have a reread and revisit again. It's why I like rereading stories again and again and again, because it's different every single time because the people are different. Oh, wow. You're back. Okay, let's continue onward. Okay. No. I'm gonna need, hey Seth, welcome. Oh yeah, Appreciate it, Paisano, and I thank you for the gift. I really love the characters. I love stories. Hi, Seth. Let's just continue. I'm gonna take my gloves off because I'm getting a little hot with them. And we'll push right to the end of this comic book, and then I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? Okay, so it's now 6:11 a.m. And there's Slime doing his thing. You are such a garbage human, Slime. Heh, idiots. Another wasted all-nighter. Available units to Central Park, the lake. Spider-Man spotted, engaged with unknown assailant. So remember, this is all happening outside in New York City. So obviously someone is going to take notice of this, right? Oh, I would love comic book recommendations, you guys. I love them, so please do message me them. I will try to source them as much as possible. I've read quite a few storylines on this live before, but I am going through a period of revisiting some reads and re-editing them so that like you have like a panel where you can see the comic book art up close a bit more. Hey, Ren Knight. Speaking of knights and D&D characters, right? Also like that archetype of being a knight, right? Having a code of honor, that kind of thing, I think it's what's inferred when we're talking about knights. And Hellgate here seems like a type of knight. Favorite story involving Black Cat. Oh, Valhalla Erickson, that is a great question. Oh my gosh. You know what's funny? I haven't actually played the Spider-Man video games, but I've watched a lot of like cutscene clips of it. And my favorite storyline is probably the Black Cat one in, I forget which video game of Spider-Man it is, but she basically lies about having a son, and then Spider-Man thinks it's his son perhaps, but she like, it's one of those things where she's like helping him, but he's not quite sure if he can trust her, but like they both actually love. Oh, John McNary, thank you for that. Xavier, how did you get to D&D? I've been wanting to. Oh yeah, I actually have, okay, so let me bring you guys back to my experience with D&D. Growing up in Winnipeg, right, nothing happens out there. So I loved the library, reading, all that kind of stuff, all that kind of thing. It's Marvel, Spider-Man, PS4. Oh yeah, so that's the thing. Gaming for me was a big thing for me and my sister. Not typical for little girls, I guess, but because my dad was a prof in computer science, we had access to technology before a lot of our friends did. So we had like, you know, an N64, we had like a PC for gaming, that kind of stuff. Where was I going with this? I can't even remember. I'm good though, you guys. It's in the DLC. Oh, good to know. Jack Betty official. I'm good. How are you? Haven't been Marvel in a while. Haven't been Black Cat in a little while. I'm doing a reread of this Amazing Spider-Man #7 because it deals with D&D. Oh, and I wanted to, yes, answer your question. So I actually I went on this website called Start Playing. You can go on there and look for a bunch of different D&D campaigns that are available for like beginners or advanced or things like that, because it is an investment. Like every Thursday, it's basically 3 to 4 hours of gaming. And I guess it's once a week, but at the same time, it is like, if I was trying to explain it to my dad and my family when I was like at home for Christmas, and I was like, it's like collaborative storytelling kind of thing, but like there's dice. I don't know how to explain it. It's hard to explain, but my sister's like, well, just say it's role playing. I'm like, yeah, but it's more than role playing, because there's live action role playing, which is LARPing, right? But that's not D&D. D&D is also like the mechanics of how you do things or how you play the game. Valhalla Erickson, I'd recommend a novel called Spider-Man Darkest Hours. Has an excellent Spider-Man Black Cat team up. Thank you for that. I will look that up. Thank you for that recommendation. And novel too. Cool. I like that. It expands the lore a bit. Wolfie? You awake? Maybe Wolfie will say goodnight soon with us. All right. Oh my gosh. I love that you know about the novel too. Okay, let me continue onward and then we'll wrap up. So, I don't know who this guy is, but he's like, look out, sorry. A new player ventures out on a collision course with an unseen future. And now it's 6:16 a.m. Remember, we started before 6 a.m., so this is like more than 15 minutes after now. For the record, I do feel a teensy bit bad that you're not getting the full first Spidey Battle premiere package. Normally, you'd get more jokes, but since you skipped right to murder, you don't get the jokey Spider-Man when you skip right to murder. It's only ultimatums for you. I'm not letting you hurt anyone else. Stand down, yeah. Or your campaign ends in a lot of pain. So this hell guy is just like, all right, then show me your pain, right? He's sleeping beside me. Well, he's kind of awake. He likes to shift positions in the sleep. You guys will see very soon. Not gonna lie, I was hoping he wouldn't stand down. It's not every day I meet a guy I can really unleash on. And this is the idea about like having a villain who's worthy of like testing your mettle against, right? Especially, my hair in my face again. Da, 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 da. Yeah. Where are we here? Oh, yes. So Spider-Man's basically saying like, you're not gonna get jokes from me. You already skipped to murder, so you're basically out of here. Oh, speaking of which, hey, Spider Carnage, welcome. You know what? Did you guys like the Carnage movie with Venom? Who played him again? Woody Harrelson, who actually I thought was okay, but I don't think they made Carnage scary enough in that movie. Anyways, okay. It's not every day I meet a guy I can really unleash on, especially someone who talks like an extra from Rings of Power and clearly doesn't know my city or how it works. Like how I led him to Central Park to lower the chance of collateral damage, or how Manhattan has a vast network of telecom cables running beneath its streets. Cables that require coolant to function properly. Oh my gosh, nerding out right now. So if you guys know anything about server rooms, right, you need to keep them cool. And so he's basically banking on the fact that there's a bunch of coolant under here and he's using it to freeze this Hellgate guy. So frostbite bomb right? Wow, that's funny. Sony doesn't make good Venom movies. Yeah, so I guess Sony did own the copyright for Spider-Man, right? So that was kind of like the issue with it. I didn't see it. Okay, so we're going to continue, and I'm going to finish very soon. Old man, he's such a need for sure. Yeah, exactly. Okay, suck it, you chaotic evil. Oh, my Steve's calling him chaotic evil. The worst kind of evil. I don't know, like at least order evil follows a certain pattern, maybe? I don't know. He's such a nerd for sure, right? He called him chaotic evil. Suck it, you chaotic evil fart barbarian. Gotta hurt for a dude who seems to get all his power from a bio furnace. Maybe that's where the maybe that's magic where he comes from. But give me the sweet power of science any day. And for the first time since Hellgate marched into my life, everything is quiet. Finally, yes, it is a bedtime reading. We're finishing off this read of number 7, The Amazing Spider-Man, as your friend Felicia Hardy, Black Cat. So everything's finally quiet, right? Maybe my fantastic life is back on track, right? Or maybe very not. So he tried to freeze the Hellgate guy, but because he used science, right? Used his power of ingenuity to figure his way out of the situation, right? And he breaks out of it with a big kablam, right? Hurrah! There you are. That is the prince I was promised. Show me more. So it's almost like this Hellgate has come all the way out here to try to like pick up a fight with Peter in order to like test his mettle, right? You know how like those people like, I'm just trying to find someone who is a worthy opponent kind of situation. I feel like that is kind of like what's going on here. Like when you're playing a game, it's no fun if you're not going up against anyone, right? You need to have an adversary, otherwise there is no game. So I think there's some fun stuff there to contemplate. And there's more here at the end. This is like extra, ending credits. Oh, and look, Spider-Gwen. I didn't even know this is here. Aw, look at that. It's you. And just so happy birthday, Gwen. I didn't even know that was at the end of this, but it's like, that's like synchronicity, I think. So, thanks you guys for joining me for this live. It's Felicia Hardy. I'm going to say good night now because tomorrow I have my very first radio show episode that I'm doing and Jack Betty Official, thank you for the love and the gifts and the support. I'm just going to let you guys in on what's coming up. Thank you, Dandy Money Man. What's coming up in terms of the live stream schedule. So I have been so all over the place. If you guys have been with me for a while, you'll know that like I'm also working on a book. So when I was 14 years old, it was in 1999, and I wrote a book called The Dragon Warriors Battle for Mount Olympus, which essentially is about entering a D&D game and make it becomes real. Now, when I moved out to Toronto after New York and all this kind of stuff, I totally forgot about the whole writing thing. I ended up taking broadcast journalism. I ended up working in PR and I'm working for like corporate and stuff. So my writing changed, right? So writing creatively versus writing like emails and like project plans and like, Gantt charts and all that kind of stuff. It's a different part of your brain that's working. And so kind of recently, a few years ago, I made the move away from corporate and I'm now doing creative stuff full time because I video edit and I'm working on a movie, all that kind of stuff. But the shift to that has been, it seems like it's all fun and games because you're doing something creative, but there is still like this effort that goes into it, right? And so, John McNary, thank you for that. So I first started reading comic books with you guys as a way of doing my own research, right? Because one of my books is actually going to be a graphic novel, book 3. The first book I left as a young adult novel because I wrote it at 14. So I went back and I had to finesse a lot of the plot points because me at 14, it just like the specs of my computer are not currently good enough. I still have to I'm building a PC for my purposes in the future, but I currently game on an Xbox Series X. My sister used to work for Microsoft for a very brief period of time, and in that time got me a free Xbox. So, thanks, little sister. It's a needle in a haystack. Yeah. So like stories and writing, to be a writer, to be that. Oh yeah. Like it's the angsty artist thing. It's a real thing, right? Because when you feel emotions, the counter to love is hate. You got like jealousy in there and like, trauma and pain. And like, when you feel all the feelings, if you're definitely someone who just like feels hard, it can be a lot. And so for me, writing has always been a way to express myself. However, when you think about writing for a book, making a story, adding this extra more logical side to it so that, it gets finessed. You edit it. There's no typos like Jameson was saying, right? Like that's why we're illiterate, because that's why I read you guys the comic books, because guess what? It's a fun way to learn how to read, right? Because comic books are books too. And so there's a thing about comic books, like you can buy them before the cover, but they go they're not unlocked until you read them. And it's different reading Cole's notes, right? Just as someone who's in university, I took English literature and psychology. So if you didn't read the book, so you're like, oh shoot, I'm going to read the Cole's notes version of whatever it is I didn't read. It is not the same as you reading it yourself, right? So, and I know that it's just not a possibility for all people. You have things to do and all that kind of stuff. But I do love reading. I'm a big book nerd, and it's easy, not easy, but it's not as much work for me to read things really fast. Just the way it is for me. But it doesn't mean I don't consider myself necessarily smarter than, let's say, other people who draw really well or are great dancers or can just create things out of nowhere. Like in my D&D campaign, like I really, really love my group. I'm hopefully going to be able to stream my game next week. But it's just been like this whole experience for me coming back to being who I really am. And it's been characters like Felicia Hardy, like Black Cat, like putting on characters that feel maybe uncomfortable for me as Rachel Z to play, but there's still aspects in her, like the Black Moon Lilith, like the side that's like the temptress, the more edgy part of anti-heroes, heroes, a certain path that is walked, that it's just a matter of like, there is no right or wrong. It's really just a matter of where you're standing. And you are the master that makes the grass green. So be aware of that when it comes to you figuring out your story and like who you are here, right? Xbox is great. Shame what they're doing to it. Yeah, more of the lines they don't cross. And oh my gosh, I'm in the top 99. You guys, that last gift, like, really put pancake life. Oh my gosh, thank you. You guys. Okay, so I went off on a tangent. I wanted to let you guys in on what's upcoming. So tomorrow I will be live as Jessica Cruz. We're going to be doing a read of Grant Morrison, Green Lantern. It's a nice little crossover comic called Space Junkies between Green Arrow and Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, and they actually have a really wonderful friendship that I like a lot. And then on Saturday, I have a magic show planned as Zatanna. Fun fact, like, if you consider like me, Black Cat, I'm kind of magical too in nature, right? Oh, thanks, Real Techie. It's all because of you guys, Pancakes were my favorite. You know what? Red Heron, thank you for the flowers too. I think I'm learning magic. So I'll show you guys what we're going to be looking at on Saturday. I don't know the timing for tomorrow or Saturday, just because it's going to be my first time doing both those shows in this way, or a new kind of format. But these late night reads, you can get going forward every Tuesday and Thursday night at midnight for sure. Those are like, I'm going to make sure I'm there. I might be late, but I will be there for those. Anything extra will be extra, right? But I just wanted to make sure in the books I have those in there. So have I watched Young Justice? Yes. Oh my goodness. I love Nightwing Dick Grayson so much. So more to come on that as I kind of like bring all my characters and all that together. So we have Zatanna on Saturday to do a magic show. And then Sunday, we have Superhero School beginning. So Superhero School is going to be, it's a 12 module, I guess, class. Like if this was a university, it's like how you would activate your own superheroes in a practical way kind of thing. And I use like, like in Lost Boys, in that movie where they refer to the comic books for a manual as how they defeat the vampires, right? So, oh yes, Gwen Stacy, I do have a code too for a scholarship. If there's a few of you, I'm going to gift them to. So just check out my link tree to check it all out. There's 12 modules. Each module is taught by a different cosplay character. And so me, Black Cat, I'm going to be teaching about how you can face your shadow, this idea of how you can transmute things like, things that seem like negatives and how you transmute them into things that are positive. Like, for example, if you have like an obsessive personality, perhaps you can just reframe that obsessive personality away from negative things. And like, maybe it's a positive thing to be obsessive about good things. And like, so you're working at a problem or finishing a project, so you're actually don't quit until it's done kind of thing. So I had to do a lot of all right, guys. I'll sign in anything. Oh, you don't want to sign in anyway. You know what though? Let's see, I have a way of maybe doing it elsewhere. We'll figure it out. Okay? It's just because it's the way the course is laid out. So you can always go back to the modules and the workbooks and different exercises. But regardless though, every Sunday we'll be live from like 6 to 9 p.m. for that. And the reads are going to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays at midnight. So these replays will be available on my YouTube channel. I am going to like do some edits, which might take a little bit longer, where I'll have actual frames of the comic book next to this read so that you can see the art a little bit in more detail. Lastly, Rachel, did I watch all seasons of Young Justice? I have not seen all seasons of Young Justice, my friend. I have a good girlfriend of mine named Aria who I've done shows with in the past who is obsessed with Young Justice. And it's worth, I think, a look at some of the TV shows and cross-comparing them to the comic books that they've taken their storylines from. And I'm not one of those people that think that, when you have like something that was like a book, like Dune, and they turn it to a movie, I'm not one of those people who needs it to be exactly like the book, because there is, like, the medium is going to also dictate how that story is going to be told, right? So, in a book, you're describing all of like the internal monologues, depending if you have an omniscient narrator or things like that. So it's like just a different way of experiencing a story versus the movie, which actually has different elements to it to tell a story, right? So I don't think it needs to be exactly 1-to-1, but there's things like respecting the source material that are important. And I think the ones that do that really well end up being the most successful when it comes to like live action interpretations of it. So maybe we can do a watch party of Young Justice, you guys, right? And you know what? For most shows, I will say my favorite seasons are usually season 2 and 3. It's usually the strongest season. It can be hard for shows. Like, I still love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. What was the other one I used to be obsessed with? But like, House MD with Hugh Laurie. And that show too, like, it's just hard to end it. It hits a certain point in the season, like Smallville, for example. I loved Smallville in the beginning, and then like later I'm like, so make it warm. Oh, House was so good, you guys. Oh, Hugh Laurie. If I could get him to be in my movie, let's make that happen, you guys. He'd be a really fun, like, wizard character, right? He'd be a cool Doctor Strange. Like an old Doctor Strange. Oh my gosh, yeah. Okay, anyways, thank you for the hand hearts. You guys have been so awesome for this. I am in like the top 99 of like lives, and I've been like trying to work on my live streams and all that kind of good stuff. So thank you for all of that. Shay Hamilton, hi. So we do have some fun show stuff coming up. So be sure that oh my gosh, you guys. If you guys are well versed in movies and movie making, I would love to hire you. So more to come on that on my Indiegogo campaign and the books and all that stuff as I organize all my stuff. So thanks to you all for your patience as we're doing it. Yeah, lighting, all that kind of stuff. It's all important, right? What lenses you use and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, guys, I'm out. Remember, it takes true courage for you to play as exactly you in the cosmic game of life. Oh yes, Real Tech Geek. Maybe we, for all of you creatives, I have a really big dream about, like, MTV shutting down, Hollywood dying, all of this stuff. There is a silver lining to all of it, right? Because it's not like the studios were really great anyways to begin with. So there's an opportunity to fully be independent for all of us who really love these stories, to have new ways of bringing it to life. So if you guys are creatives, I hope that, like, I want to build a new way of us doing this, right? So new doors, right? And like, it's like 300, right? I know that each one of us who are here right now, you are like worth 300 of like if you take a bunch of one-man armies, right? And you put it all together, what do you get? You get like a superhero team, right? So I'm super pumped for all of that. Like, right, having indie be higher quality than what studio production is, right? And going back to like real storytelling and what it really means to like awaken something special in others, right? All right, guys. So remember, guys, it takes true courage for you to play as exactly you in this cosmic game of life. So be sure to play as exactly you. Because what? The universe is counting on you. But no worries, I have your back. Until next time, my friends, sweet dreams. Bye.